The Lift & Co. Cannabis Expo returns to the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, November 18th to the 21st. Discover and learn about all things cannabis. Get your tickets at liftexpo.ca. Must be 19 plus to enter and attend.
Are best for your health and the timing of when you eat. And so, and again, too, if it's someone with behavior issues, we discuss the behavior issues and the level of educational support. So anyway, each conversation is very different and very in-depth. And then I often ask for follow-up, or people call back just to see how things are going. So really, I think the favorite part of my job is to be able to have that service and to support people wherever they are with how to use and how to benefit from our product.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, where we discuss this miracle plant, this extraordinary plant with all its many different names and how it helps people out in so many amazing ways. My name's Justin Benton. I'm the founder and owner of 101 CBD, 101hemp.org. And today we have a special guest who's been doing incredible work. She helped guide my son through his journey to clear the fog from his severe autism diagnosis. And now she's offering her services for free, and has been for many years now, for free one-on-one consultations to understand your specific health challenge and how this miracle plant can help you. Of course, I'm talking about my mother, Janet Benton Gaillard, who has free consultations. If you go to her Instagram, JB Gaillard, Gaillard, or you go to the website 101cbd.org, and you'll see free consultation on the top there for you to check out. Welcome to the show, Mom. How you doing?
Doing great. It's always exciting to be here. And one of my biggest complaints about our amazing product is it's hard for the news of it to get out among all the babble of the massive number of products. So I'm always very excited to get on and help spread the word. And then a huge issue people have with CBD in general is that there are so many choices and they're not sure how to tell them apart. They also are not sure, once they decide on a brand, how much to use or what level to buy or how long to use it. Or especially, how does it work with my particular condition? And so I provide Zoom consultation at this point every Thursday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific time. And then for Central, it's 1 to 5. And And in New York and the East Coast, it's 2 to 6. And so I'd pick a time that kind of worked across the country. Each Zoom is a live Zoom call, lasts 30 minutes, and you can also choose to use a phone connection. That's also listed when you sign up and get a link to the Zoom call. The only thing I do ask, by the way, is if you schedule one, please attend or let me know. And so just getting started on what the Zoom call entails, when you go to sign up at the very basics, you will see a calendar, and you can pick a time slot and then sign up for your time slot. And as I mentioned, you'll then receive back a link for you to click on that day and that time that you've chosen. And it's very important to go ahead and write down what your major concern is. It really helps if you have a condition, especially something unusual, that you write down as you sign up what that concern is. And so then if I need to, I can even do some extra research on you on that topic. Many of the calls I get are very kind of hit a range, with autism being one of the most common reasons people call. But it's also a huge variety of calls, fibromyalgia, cancer, seizures. And then often the calls relate to the same as in the office. The main topics that we see are pain, anxiety, and more now we're seeing sleep issues. And so even if you have a small concern or a huge concern, I've worked with many of those issues over my life in my different careers, and also especially with the experience that I have working with the CBD that was created by 101 CBD.
Awesome. And I know that you're not only fielding calls here in the U.S., but also around the world. So how's that been going?
Yeah, it's very interesting. So I do get encouraged about the fact that, especially through the autism community, and some of it thanks to Kristen at the Autism Hope Alliance, who talks to many parents. The word is spreading that the CBDA, our raw whole plant organic CBDA, is effective against autism. And just in terms of the concerns that the parents have with their particular child. And one of the most amazing things about all these consultations on autism is the realization. So, like my grandson was very young when we started with him at age 4. But I'm talking now to parents with children in their 30s and teens, all these other years. And many parents by this time had kind of given up that there's any hope of any change. And the most common problems in the older adults, I would call them now, with autism are things like anxiety and sometimes with aggression or just being uncomfortable, being out in public, just a lot of things in that area. And then I still have a range of adults with autism who are still at the very basic levels of autism, still nonverbal and having more significant issues. And so it is really exciting that that is getting out now that I do talk across the pond. Is that what people say? And so I've been really excited to talk to people like in Romania and Italy and as far away as Australia and things. So it doesn't matter where you are, you will end up with some unusual times if you sign up for our Pacific times. But we really, really welcome anybody with questions of any type from anywhere in the U.S. and and around the world.
And so what are some of the most common questions that you get or most common concerns that you might see coming up over and over in these calls?
And some of, like I mentioned too, we still hear a lot about pain, anxiety, and sleep as the very basic concerns. But I also just see a lot of people with neurological disorders seems to be a huge issue right now. We have a lot of people with seizures, autism, Alzheimer's, fibromyalgia, lupus, MS, Parkinson's, and so just a wide range of conditions that relate neurologically, and which is important too. One of our favorite neurologists, Dr. Ethan Russo, had talked about all neurological conditions being too low a level of an endocannabinoid or one made by our body called 2-AG. And it's very unique and beneficial that the raw CBDA, which is what the plant makes before you would heat it, literally is a mimic or an analog, they call it, to this endocannabinoid 2-AG. And so literally it goes in the body and goes to the places that the 2-AG goes to, which is literally every cell in the body. And so it just makes it a much more powerful solution for the many neurological issues that people have. And so once we explain that, and different people, by the way, that I talk to, I always have to somewhat get a sense of where their knowledge base is and kind of adjust what I say. Because some people just want to know basic things like how much do I take, how long will it last? And then many people, they'll have very in-depth questions about very complex issues. So I'd say the neurological issues tend to dominate from the people that do call in. And these are problems that are very hard to find solutions for in modern medicine or through diet and different things. And again, I want to repeat over and over, one of the main goals I have with the product and with our company is just to offer people hope. So many people are just so used to being sick and trying a cocktail of this medication or that medication and just very confused about finding any kind of help. And so the main thing I always try to stress is there is hope. And that hope really goes back to the 4 main properties that I often talk about on here with CBD. And so the really unique and important one is called homeostasis or balance. And so the CBDA literally, by going to all the organs in our body, all the systems, all the cells, it literally balances them so they function better. And so that is a very unique property that I personally have not found in any other substance that I've worked with. And I've been working as a holistic healer, integrative nutritionist, and as a developmental and school psychologist for actually too many decades to mention now. And so it's really important to find these unique qualities that work. And then also another huge area is the inflammation. Inflammation is the basis, like of all of our autoimmune diseases, at the basis of all pain, and it's a basis of many of the things that go wrong in our body. In fact, our immune system balances inflammation versus the anti-inflammatory levels overall. And so often I will explain how that works. And then the CBDA is also a very strong antioxidant. And as you know, that's the damage we get from free radicals that cause oxidative damage. I call it rusting our body sometimes. And so the CBDA also balances that level. And then when you have a lower oxidant level, then you also have less inflammation. Everything works together in the body. And to me, then, for neurological issues, but also many of the issues we deal with, the fourth benefit of the CBDA is the amazing ability to repair nerves that have been damaged, to be a neuroprotectant in chronic diseases like MS and Parkinson's, where the nerves continue to be attacked. And the most amazing one that I keep thinking there must be billboards for somewhere is neurogenesis, or regeneration of nerves. And to me, that's where the miracle lies with our people with neurological issues. And it's very definitely what we saw with my grandson, who had been a very bright little guy reading at 2, and then a regression down to like no words, and an IQ too low to measure, and just always unhappy and overreacting. And by the time he was showing improvement, which is very quickly, by the way, once we developed the product for him, you could tell that literally his brain had regenerated. And one way I absolutely knew that happened was that he could start remembering things that happened before the regression. And a real simple, quick story was his mom was I was showing him pictures of faces of different emotions, and one was a mad face, and he called it MAP. And his mom was there, and she looked up, because that's what he used to call it when he was a baby. And so you know that it was his brain that had regenerated, not anything new we'd taught him, even though we taught him, had to reteach a lot of things. And so that benefit of the nerves to regenerate is really at the basis. That helps with seizures, that helps with Alzheimer's, that helps with Parkinson's, and that helps with MS. And so when I talk to them, I go through those 4 properties, and it shows how it relates to every particular issue that I've come across so far. And so each session is a little bit different according to the complexity of the issue. But it always comes down to what are the properties of CBDA, and how do they relate to that particular condition that a person has. And then we go through all of those to explain how the CBDA is going to benefit them.
Well, that's awesome. I'm actually out here playing baseball with Shay as we speak. So he's got his first baseball season coming up, and we're out here pitching balls. If you hear some dings and things, and it's obviously been an incredible journey, an absolute answer to our prayers, from seeing where he was to where he is now. It really is a miracle. That's why we named the show The Miracle Plant. So just so excited that we get to share these stories and work with people on a one-on-one, and maybe give some people some of your background. Not that you're just grandma, but
Right.
how have you come to become such an expert in all of this information of how the body works?
You bet. And never mind. Anyway, so I actually was lucky enough to have a mom when I was even growing up, and out in the wild, in the Midwest, who was aware of the importance of what foods you were eating, and sort of more of an herbal approach versus running to the doctor for everything. In fact, I don't think we went to the doctors unless we had a broken bone or something, or surgery. And those are the things that holistic approach to health doesn't fix those. And so I just always grew up with that approach to life. I remember in college I had posters all over my wall. One of them was my poster of all the different herbs and their uses. Very unusual back in the day to have that instead of all the other things we were protesting at that time. So I've always focused on that. And then I truly believe in this lifetime, I was meant to learn more and more about it, just because I've been constantly faced with significant health issues in family members, for one thing. And one thing that left a huge impression on me was my husband had cancer and was given 3 months to live with inoperable tumors. And he did not want to do chemo or radiation again because he'd done that once before, but it had obviously had come back. And so just literally using what I learned about diet and herbs and juicing, and I guess we were aware of organic at that time too. A lot of foods still were organic back in the day. But just to me to learn the power of that, of just that approach, and it worked. And he did live another 23 years. And I also had a son in a severe car accident who was at one point paralyzed and had over 100 and some fractures from a car accident. And again, too, wasn't given much hope that he would survive that or, return to a normal lifestyle. And so I have a funny story. I literally sat by his hospital bed with a Nike bag full of all my herbs and brought in different people with specialties, chiropractors and acupuncturists and things. But just sitting there day by day, when nurses went in the room, by the way, I just given him the herbs that would help with the pain and inflammation and the nerve damage and things that he had. And it was a very significant accident. His spine actually had broken out of his pelvis. So it wasn't just like a regular little accident. But anyway, again, too, by using all that approach to diet and health and the herbs and different things that we used, he actually was able to walk again and able to go back to school and go to become a professional with many years of education. And so just big things like that, you just learn that there is an approach, and you learn to trust a holistic approach, that it does work. And so that's part of my background. And then I also spent many years working with children and adults with disabilities in educational, vocational, and residential programs, and was a director of a 2-county program for a while. And then I also then was a school psychologist for many years in a large urban district where I dealt with every type of issue you can imagine with behavior and learning. And also at that time I just really developed a strong interest in working with children with autism. At that time, it was about 1 in 10,000 children, so you didn't see a lot of them, but it had already started increasing. And so anyway, that's a basic background. And then when I moved to California to help with Justin's son, then I became totally focused on that. And again, too, that background in holistic health and also in behavior intervention and also in working with autism all came in to play a large part. And as we've talked many times about our story, those interventions and the dietary interventions helped to a certain point, but it still left him with significant autism. So he could be trained to do lots of things, but still neurologically was not the same. And so that's when the miracle that Justin had thought of first, that we had moved into realizing that autism was, again, neurological, very similar like to seizures. And so we started using the CBDA. And that's where the miracle happened, where very, very quickly we saw huge improvements. And by the time he was in kindergarten, he had no diagnosis and was above average and has been on his own for the last 3 years. So just my life experiences have really taught me to focus and have trust in a natural approach to healing. And then the addition of the CBDA has just been the true miracle of it all. It works and has powers and abilities in helping the body beyond any herb or any herbal combination I've ever come up with, or any diet or whatever. And so I feel like I'm uniquely qualified at this point to really discuss any type of health issue, including things in the mental health area. So that's my background and how it really truly seems like my whole life was kind of focused toward this moment of all my skills and experiences to coming and being here to help with this crisis. And I consider autism a crisis. You can't go from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 20 or 1 in 50 across a generation and not view it as a crisis. So anyway, that's one of the main things that I do focus on still. But I encourage people with any sort of issue, just even basic things like how much I take or how long do I take it, or do I take chill or do I take alleviate. So sometimes it's very basic questions and sometimes it's very complex questions. But I really look forward every week to the different types of questions I need to answer. And I will point out, too, another big topic I always discuss with everybody is dietary recommendations. I'm also a certified integrative nutritionist health coach. And so we always go over things like, is your water pure? Is your food organic? And if you have a serious illness, it's really important to be more vegan because it's very hard. It takes a lot of energy to digest other foods. And we talk about prebiotics and probiotics and what water you drink and your microbiome and how it functions and what food combinations are best for your health and the timing of when you eat. And so, and again, too, if it's someone with behavior issues, we discuss the behavior issues and the level of educational support. So anyway, each conversation is very different and very in-depth. And then I often ask for follow-up or people call back just to see how things are going. So really, I think the favorite part of my job is to be able to have that service and to support people wherever they are with how to use and how to benefit from our product.
This is the sound cannabis companies hear when they try to place an ad on Facebook, Twitter, or Google. The tech overlords' arbitrary discrimination against our industry is unfair, but until they change their restraint of trade policies, we need an alternative way to share our message with our customers. Cannabis podcasts are one of the last advertising platforms not controlled by tech monopolies. And for as low as $9.99 a week, cannabis companies have the freedom to play their uncensored commercials to customers around the world. Don't let tech bosses dictate how you run your business. Go to PodCONX.com. That's PodCONX.com. And for just $9.99 per week, you can go from this to this.
Well, that's awesome. How do people get a hold of you to have set up their own one-on-one consultation? And I'll add to it that I just got the domain askjanet.org and we'll point it to wherever it needs to go. But how do they go about setting up their appointment?
Well, thank you. I love a good website name. So the one basic reason people first place to look is on the website, the 101cbd.org. And so if you're on a laptop or your computer, it's like on the opening page and it just says free consultation and you can click, it will take you to the calendar. If you're on a phone, which I think most of us are now doing most of our online work, just look on the top left-hand side when the page opens with the three little lines and you can click there and you'll see the free consultation listed there. And then you can also, I assume, type in 101cbd.org and then let me look at my business card and then free consultation is listed. You can also go directly that way. Another easier way if you're on Clubhouse is just to go to my profile and there's an Instagram link. And then you can also go directly to my Instagram, Janet B. Gaillard, Gaillard, and then click on my profile. And it's also a direct link listed there. So we try to make it as easy as possible for people to sign up for it. And you can also, when you're on the website, track down one of the phone numbers of even one of the stores, and people can call and track me down. We get a lot of people calling me through that way. So the main thing is just look on the website, or else now we'll have a new option called askjanet.org. And so that'll make it even easier for people to get a hold of me.
It's all official. The power of, technology. We'll get that pointed askjanet.org right to the link to set up your consultation, be it by Zoom or by phone. So obviously, you've done an amazing job raising me and helping out with my grandson and helping so many other people. And I'm just so happy that we're able to help so many more. And I know you sometimes take 6 or 7 of these calls a day. And, when you do these one-on-one consultations, and not to mention the countless people that we've been able to help along our journey at 101 CBD, whether it be online or emails or people walking into their stores. So definitely happy to share you with the world, because there's so much suffering that's going on out there and people just don't understand these basic principles of eating healthy and analyzing the water that you're drinking and just really understanding what you're putting into your body. So I'm just happy that people are able to ask their questions And if anyone has any questions here on Clubhouse as we're recording, feel free to raise your hand and come up and ask a question. Other than that, that's our show for today. Dan, you got anything to add in or a comment?
I think that Janet, she's so humble, but I don't know that there are many people in the world that have the same hands-on experience that she has. And when she talks about all her skills that she brought to this issue of your son being diagnosed with autism, that was just a bonus. But for her to be this close to this issue and working from start to finish, I don't know that there's a lot of other people in the world that that has that kind of experience. So this is an opportunity for people to get access to, like I said, a rare individual who has the background and then also has the hands-on experience of watching this and refining this process with autism and cold press CBD.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like we have someone to come up to ask a question. Dr. Renee, how are we doing? Good morning.
Hello, good morning, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come up on stage. And I just want to say thank you so much for what you are doing. And Janet, I just think you are phenomenal. I mean, you have a wealth of knowledge and everything. And like Dan said, you're very humble, but what you are doing is just so very crucial. And I just want to thank all of you all. I really didn't have a question. I definitely want to learn more about this and everything so that I can also pass this information on. I mean, I would love to be mentored or whatever, but I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you.
That is so nice to hear. I'm honored because I'm a big fan of yours also. And real quickly, Justin, I wanted to mention a couple more things. I always have more to say. One is if people with autism or with their children with autism, we do have a journal article in the American Journal of Endocannabinoid Medicine that outlines exactly what I did with my grandson. And again, too, when you talk to me in depth, I will go more in depth of exactly the things that I did. And I've also decided to get into the ebook business, and I am working towards actually setting up just classes or brief teaching sessions because there's just so much information that needs to get out there. Many of the issues we work with are pretty complex, and so I am coming out with ebooks on sleep and diet, and then I have a short one too, also on how it works with autism, and I'm also starting just to write up summaries of just the most common disease states that we address. Because again, too, it's so important for the information to get out there. I just get so sad when I talk to people that come in and they've been trying other CBD products. Sometimes, sadly, they do go to the local gas station or something, or I don't know where they get these products. And then they just are either over refined or have unusual ingredients, and they just aren't effective in general. And I don't know how many times a day I say that when you keep the CBD raw and honor this miracle plant, the godfather, we call him Dr. Raphael Mechoulam, who studied cannabis in all its forms since the 1960s, came 2 years ago to say that after his 60 years of international research with other researchers around the world, that the CBDA is 10 to 100 times more effective than the heated CBD or THC for health issues. And it's the most powerful and effective. And also even in one research study on vomiting, and then also that feeling you get before anticipatory vomiting or nausea, it was even 1,000 times more powerful. And so I'm just always trying to get the word out. Don't give up on CBD. You just need to find the right product. And we really, to me, have such a unique product because we used holistic principles to develop it, of raw, organic, and whole plant. And so again, too, part of my consultation is just to make people aware of the difference and to not get discouraged that this really does offer answers. And so those are the main things that people need to be aware of. And again, too, the consultations are on Thursdays at this point, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. On Thursdays. And then just translate that to your time zone, which the app will do when you go online to sign up. And so again, too, I just encourage you, even if you have a small question, a really huge question, or if you're a person who I talked to maybe 2 years ago, I love it when people stop in and let me know how things are going, and especially if they have concerns. And I've gotten pretty confident, some might say overconfident, that if people work with me in terms of following through on diet recommendations and following through on taking the CBD and adjusting their doses in time of day, that there truly hasn't been anyone so far that I've not continued to see progress, and in many cases see resolution of the issues. And so it really is just a process of consultation and making small adjustments. And so again, too, I just really encourage people to sign up. This isn't anything. The only thing I get out of it is just actually seeing people who are doing better and are having better quality of life. So please track down the many different ways now that you can sign up for a consultation. And I'm hoping to see you on a Zoom call soon.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. I'm planning to be on one soon. Thank
Great.
you.
Oh, I'd love to have it. That'd be great.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Again, you can go to askjanet.org, and that'll take you to the place where you can sign up for a Zoom call or a phone call to answer all of your health questions. So, well, we're going to wrap up here, and thanks for joining us on the Miracle Plant Podcast. And at the end of every call, we end up with saying, heal the world, because that's what our mission here at the Miracle Plant is to heal the world one family at a time, one story at a time. So everyone on stage, unmute your mics. I'm going to count to 3, and we're going to send out that positive healing vibe to those people out there that are looking for an answer to their prayers. They're looking for a miracle, and that this healing energy and that this could find them and they can find us, and we can talk to them and share what we know about this miracle plant. So on the count of 3, let's say heal the world. 1, 2, 3.
Heal the
world! All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week on the Miracle Plant Podcast.
Bye-bye.